Welcome or welcome back to Sugar, Spice and Rosé. My name is Erica, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make a loaded Bajan ham cutter. I'll show you how to make the mango glazed ham, the fishcake pancake, the creamy cheese paste, and the traditional salt bread. All of these components aren't in a traditional Bajan ham cutter, but because they're loved by so many Bajans out there, I thought they would be a great addition to this Bajan ham cutter to make it a loaded Bajan ham cutter. So if you're interested in seeing how I make it, please keep on watching. First up is the cheese paste. A very simple recipe. I combine all of my ingredients into a bowl: the cheese, the sweet pepper, the onion, a little bit of grated garlic, hot sauce, my spices like the black pepper and salt, some mayonnaise, and I stir it together until I get the consistency that I like. It's very simple. Next, for the fishcake pancakes, it's really just a fishcake batter that I fry in the shape of a pancake. So even though I do have a fishcake batter recipe, I always just make it by eye, especially when it comes to the consistency. So there will be a recipe in the description box below. But when it comes to adding the flour and water, I always do it by eye. So after boiling my saltfish, frizzling the saltfish, I season it with my fresh herbs, my dry seasonings, mix that together. Then I add my dry ingredients, the flour, the baking powder, and I add some more of those dry seasonings. Again, all of this is going to be by taste in the end. But where it comes to that flour and water, like I was mentioning, I do have a recipe. I base it off of the recipe, but I add that water and flour until I get the consistency that I want. This thick batter, it does look like a batter and it's really nice and droppable. That's the consistency that I go for when it comes to my fish cake. So to a pan with a half an inch or an inch of oil, I like to place a little bit of that fish cake batter in the center, and I like to spread it with a spoon because again the batter is kind of thick. So you can repeat what I'm doing in the video. And when it gets nice and golden brown on the other side and nice and crispy, I like to flip that, allow it to cook until it gets golden brown on both sides. And I repeat that for as many of the fish cake pancakes as I would like. When they're done frying, you can place them on a baking sheet lined with paper towels and allow them to cool until you're ready to assemble your sandwich. Up next is the ham. Very simple recipe. Once again, I score the ham to get a diamond pattern, and then to each of these diamonds I add a single clove, and the clove really does add a nice flavor to the ham. So to cook the ham, I like to cover it in foil paper, but before I actually fully seal it, I like to go in with some more aromatics like some herbs, onions, garlic, those kinds of things, and some ham and more cloves. I wrap that really nice and tight and allow that to bake for 1.5 hour and 45 minutes, and until that ham is really tender. And then I remove it from the oven, unwrap it, and then I make my simple mango glaze. I make it by combining the ketchup, vinegar, brown sugar, my dry spices, and the mango juice. I mix that together. You can feel free to cook it on the stove. I would actually even suggest to use mango puree instead of mango juice and less ketchup. But this mango barbecue sauce did add a really nice sweet component to the ham. I glaze the ham with the sauce, place some water in the bottom of the dish, and then I would cover it with foil paper again and bake it for another 45 minutes. Remove the foil paper and bake it for another 30 minutes just to make sure that ham is really cooked all the way through and nice and tender. And when it is finished baking, I slice up my ham and I set it aside until I am ready. And we're going to move on to our salt bread. I like to start by proofing my yeast in warm water with a bit of sugar and allow that to get frothy. As you can see, it doesn't get too puffy, but you can see some of those bubbles float to the surface. To a stand mixer bowl, I add my dry ingredients, which will be the flour, the salt, the remaining sugar, and the butter. And I rub that butter into the flour until it's like breadcrumb consistency. Then I pour in my frothy yeast mixture, and if you were to be doing this normally, I'd recommend you turn on the mixer and you slowly pour in that yeast mixture. From there, you're going to allow it to knead for about 10 minutes, cover with plastic wrap, and allow it to proof in the same mold for an hour, hour and a half, until it doubles in size. It all depends on the temperature of your room. Then I divide my dough balls into 100 to 110 gram pieces, and I like to fold them the way I'm showing you on camera, but at the same time I don't want to roll it too much, because if I overshape the dough, the bread comes out a bit too tough. So I left it in real time to show you how much I shape the dough. To a lined or greased baking sheet, I place the salt breads onto that baking sheet and allow them to proof with a piece of plastic wrap over them, and the plastic wrap is greased. I allow them to proof until doubled in size once again. You don't want to overproof them, but then you're going to bake them until they get this lightly, very lightly golden brown color, but they will be cooked all the way through. They are not traditionally too dark. They're really light in color, but they're really nice and fluffy and delicious. So now we are ready to assemble our sandwich. We have our bread, our cheese paste, our ham, and our fishcake pancake. Let's assemble the sandwich. I start by slicing the bread in half and spreading some of that cheese paste over both halves of the bread. Place the fishcake pancake and then some more of that ham and top it off with the other half of the bun, and you have this delicious loaded sandwich. It is so good. My family and I enjoyed eating these. They're very filling. We could only eat half at a time because, again, it is a loaded sandwich. It is so delicious. You will not be disappointed. I do have another ham cutter recipe video on my page, which is a bougie Bajan ham cutter, so you can feel free to check that out. Everything in this sandwich was so simple to make. Yes, there are a number of components, but they're very easy, especially if you follow this guide step by step. You will for sure enjoy this sandwich. But thank you so much for being here. Please feel free to like and subscribe. I hope you get a chance to try this. It is really delicious. I hope you have a great day, night, or week. Bye. For breakfast.